No, he's come over to this side of the canal.
Not much different, is it?
You're on this side, we're comfortable on this side. You don't see the canals at the bottom.
That's right.
Told you I liked it.
Hey, Sean, can you hear me? Testing.
Yeah.
Testing. Can you hear me, Sean?
Yes.
Yes, we can hear you. Can you
Y'all
hear
can
us?
hear me? Excellent.
Yeah, we can hear you.
Okay, I'm ready to go whenever y'all are.
All right, I'm waiting for Mr. Fisher. Mr. Mylum.
Sometimes we end up handing it on. But they need to be heard.
I think that they've offered to talk to us directly is great. Years out on everything. This is kind of fun. This is my first time. Never heard.
Sure, we're not on.
You have the numbers. Or you're volunteer. You're good.
There was no yellow.
No, no. They were just,
There's
that
enough.
was fine.
There's enough.
I couldn't get a word in. That's all right. Right.
I was gonna.
Where's, oh, Mr. Chico?
Hey, Pat, Chief, you tell the council members to come on out, please.
Mr. Fisher's in the room.
Council President,
Yes, Mr. Clerk.
I just wanted to remind you that it may be best for someone to be chosen to waive the reading of the resolution.
I'll work on that, Mr. Clerk.
I'd appreciate it.
All right, we want to hear your voice.
That's right.
Come on. Went to the restroom.
Okay, that's important.
All right, let's call the meeting of the City of Tonawanda Council to order. Mr. Clerk, please call the roll.
Sheasley,
Here.
Fisher.
Here.
Rautenstrau,
Here.
Mylum,
Here.
Cook.
Here, please stand for the pledge. I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Please remain standing for a moment of silence. Thank you. You may be seated. At this time, I'd ask the city clerk to read the special meeting notice. Mr. Clerk?
This is the special meeting of the Common Council of the City of Tonawanda to the members of the Common Council of the City of Tonawanda of New York, pursuant to the power vested in me by Article 2, Division 3, Section 2.048 of the City Charter of the City of Tonawanda, adopted January 1st, 1998. I hereby call a special meeting of the Common Council of the City of Tonawanda to be held at the council chambers in the City Hall of Tonawanda, New York, on the 26th day of March, 2024 at 6 p.m. Said meeting is being called for the purpose of discussing tabled resolutions regarding volunteer fire company funding and Canal Fest.
Thank you, Mr. Clerk. At this time, I'll now take comments by the public on the resolutions. For those that are joining us virtually, there's a spot for you to raise your hand. For those that are joining us in person, please approach the microphone. Any comments by the public on the resolutions? Or you can come forward. Mr. Clerk, we have a comment on the floor.
My name is Bob Starr, 306 Rogers, Tonawanda. I'd like to talk about the Canal Fest. I feel that if the Canal Fest is not going to be happening here in the city of Tonawanda, you're going to be doing a great injustice to the not-for-profits that help and support each other here within the city and the Twin Cities. We really need this. And the ability for a not-for-profit to help out any one individual or any group of individuals is key. Not just our Lions Club, which I'm the president, or to any other not-for-profit. So I urge you guys, please vote for the Canal Fest to actually happen this year. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Starr. Any other comments on the resolution? Mr. Clerk, anyone joining us virtually wish to address the council on the resolution?
At this time, there's no one signifying they'd like to speak on the resolutions, Council President.
Okay,
Madam President, I'd like to make a motion to waive the reading of this resolution.
Mr. Clerk, I have a motion on the floor by Mr. Mylum to waive the reading of resolution 1. Do I have a second? Second by Mr. Fisher. Mr. Clerk, please call the roll.
Cheesley,
Aye.
Fisher,
Aye.
Roundstraw,
Aye.
Mylum.
Aye.
Cook.
I declare waiving of the reading of resolution number 1. All right, let's proceed. Resolution 1 sponsored by Mr. Fisher.
I will sponsor, yes.
Resolution 1 sponsored by Mr. Fisher. Do I have a second? Seconded by Mr. Mylum. Comments or questions? Mr. Fisher.
I've been contacted by residents and businesses. Some did reduce it to writing. I have submitted those to the council previously. There's support to see this go forward. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Fisher. Any other comments or questions? Mr. Rothenstrau?
A lot more to say, but I think simply I appreciate Mr. Starr's kind of speaking up. My sticking point on this has been over the years, and it continues to be the length of this event. What I'd like to see is a shorter event. Last year, the president of the Canal Fest committee sat right there in front of us and told us that it would be reimagined, it would be different. They would consider a shorter event. It's still not a shorter. It taxes our city. It presents a bit of a burden to our employees, to our emergency response team. The overtime on top, while it might be taken care of, paid for, there's a lot of intangibles that we continue to face with it. We're taxing our city employees. We're putting some chaos into our city, adding an element that is dangerous and just dangerous situation to our city. I don't think that it's been a collaborative effort over the years. I think that promises have been made and promises have not been kept by the Canal Fest committee. The fact that this is supposed to be a joint event between the Canal cities, the city of Tonawanda and the city of North Tonawanda, would be a great thing had it been jointly talked about, and our position on this side of the canal was considered and our concerns were considered, but it never seems to be. I just really want to say that I'm anti-political time of the event. I think that people have a particular amount of budgetary to spend for an event like this, and I think they spend it in 4 days instead of 8 days. I think that money would be spent on the not-for-profits and the companies or the local businesses here in our city that was, if it was short, I think you'd get a lot more bang for your buck and a better cost. In this case, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Armstrong. Any other comments? Mr. Sheasley?
Well, since I was the first guy ever to, as a police officer to work this Canal Fest, it's definitely evolved into a bigger event. Not than what Mr. Fisher said about the people I have talked to, they wanted it shorter or not at all. And I had, I think 2 people said, well, it's okay. But there's probably at least 8 people that I talked to said they wanted shorter or less. I think it's a keg to happen. It's a keg ready to blow. It's not usually, and you look at the records over the years, of course, I've been retired for 22 years. Majority of the trouble is from outside interest. And that's the little minority of interest, but it's something waiting to happen. Whatever years ago, Salem Church, there was a shooting. They said it was outside the footprint. That came from the footprint. There was a knifing at McDonald's a few years back. So things are there that I don't want to put any residents of this city in any danger whatsoever, and especially the guys in blue, our firemen, Public Works, whoever else is working at Canal Fest. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Sheasley. Any other comments? Mr. Clerk?
I guess I better make a comment since everybody knows this.
Mr. Mylum?
I don't think it's a secret that for my time on here, I've been completely against Canal Fest. But I don't believe it's my sole, for lack of a better term, judgment to say yes or no. I think regardless of my personal feelings towards the event, it is essential for our not-for-profits to have an arena to set up, earn money, put out some goodwill. I was a solid no, but after speaking with the police department and seeing that my big concerns of over budgetary, overtime, taxing our guys would essentially be taken care of. I think this year it should go, and with the caveat that this vote will not be a yes next year if this is a day. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Mr. Mylum. Any other comments? Mr. Clerk, I have a comment. There's some representatives from North Tonawanda that are joining us. I'd like to thank you for coming this evening. And I think there's things that we can do better collectively as a Twin City, and that is to come to the table collaboratively, put our minds together and see what we can do to improve or enhance a festival for next year. Keep in mind that next year will be the 200th anniversary of the Erie Canal. So a lot of eyes will be on the Twin Cities to see what we can do to recognize and honor that historic event. So I appreciate the dialogue that this council and the mayor's office has had relative to this topic. I will be voting in support of it. I think there's a benefit for our non-for-profits in our community. And keep in mind, we're going to be showcasing a $10 million area that we just received for our DRI grant. And I think that's encouraging for residents and individuals from outside the community to come in and see what the city of Tonawanda and North Tonawanda as well has to offer. Any other comments or questions? Yeah. Mr. Clerk, please call the roll.
Sheasley,
No.
Fisher,
Yes.
Rautenstrau,
A hard no.
Mylum,
Yes.
Cook.
I declare the resolution adopted. At this time, we'll now take comments by the public on the resolutions. For those that are joining us in person, please approach the microphone. For those that are joining us virtually, there's a spot for you to raise your hand. Please do so. Mr. Clerk, we have a comment on the floor.
Rick Schultz, 182 Minerva Street. I am very happy to see that this resolution did pass. I'm sorry for the people who voted against it. I understand both sides of the street. However, I think that the the Canal Fest is a very important part of the city of Tonawanda and North Tonawanda history. And the money that it brings into our not-for-profits is very, very important to all of those organizations. They don't just put it in a bank account and sit on it. They share it with others. They help other not-for-profits and people who are in need. Not for nothing, the governor was gracious enough through the mayor's hard work and the team that he put together for the DRI grant to give us $10 million. She was a huge supporter of Canal Fest. And this Canal Fest, if it didn't happen, would be a big slap in the face for her. So I'm glad to see that we got this passed and hopefully, as Council President mentioned, just a couple moments ago, this council will work closer with the city of North Tonawanda, council closer for next year and maybe the Canal Fest Committee to, make it bigger and better in light of the 200th anniversary. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Schultz. Any other comments? Mr. Clerk, we have a comment on the floor.
Hello, everybody. I'm Alderman at large for the city of North Tonawanda. So we wanted to come tonight to send our support. Thank the council members that supported this event. I've been involved in Canal Fest for over 25 years. I'm an active volunteer firefighter in the city of North Tonawanda. I was president of the volunteer fire company for 12 years. Who knows which is the largest city. I can tell you right now, a 4-day event or a 5-day event, our fire hall will close. We have the most active membership in the city of North Tonawanda. We provide 15 firefighters, 6 of which are interior certified. You would not have those firefighters. We would not have those firefighters in North Tonawanda if it wasn't for Canal Fest, which means cities like North Tonawanda and city of North Tonawanda, we hire more pagans. So if you want to talk about budget hits, that's one of the biggest budget hits you're going to get is when you want the manpower. Another thing people don't realize is non-for-profits do a ton of charity work. There's a ton of families in both communities that need a lot of help that these nonprofits supplement that income. So in North Tonawanda, we came up with the idea that the concerns that we always hear as well, it's an 8-day event, it's too long. You know, the rides are the burden, the rides bring all the riffraff in the town. Canal Fest initially was designed to celebrate 2 cities that we share a canal with. It was to celebrate the heritage of both cities. I think a lot of you are looking at it as a point of view of, well, this is just a waste of taxpayers' money. Well, it's not. Taxpayers pay a lot of money for services in the city. They should also get good things too. You know, we always have a saying, you know, determine your needs from your wants, but every once in a while you gotta have a want. You know, it's just like when you buy stuff for your home, right? You need to pay your mortgage, but you maybe want to buy that nice car for yourself because you work so hard, you want to have something available. So last year, Alderman DiBernardo and myself, along with Jenna and, you know, Mayor White, we decided, hey, let's get together in January. Let's iron out all the details. Let's see what both sides have, you know, their pros and cons to the event. Let's do a long-term deal. Alderman DiBernardo and myself this year suggested a 3-year contract. The reason why Canal Fest hasn't been revamped is because they have to wait until March, April, and May to find out there's gonna be an event. How fast can you guys put on an event that in 2 months? They want to do more heritage stuff. They want to do more history stuff. That takes 12, 15 months to plan and book. They want to do more focus on Canal, going back to the roots of what Canal Fest was. In North Tonawanda, we made a lot of changes in 2022 coming out of COVID. We don't have our police patrolling 24/7. They patrol in the evening, and that's it. Canal Fest hires their own security to patrol in the dog park. If there's an issue, they call the police department. Just having a body on site deters most of the people that want to kind of cause issues. We did morning meetings with business owners because, as I'm sure you guys heard, when we used Manhattan Street for the rides a couple years ago, every business owner came to the council meeting screaming at us. You're going to kill our business. You're going to destroy this. We hate Canal Fest. We hate this. So Alderman DiBernardo and myself, we met every single morning with business owners and organizers from Canal Fest. Guys, what went well last night? What needed to be changed? Well, Alderman, we had cars coming down Manhattan Street and they could have hit people. Okay, DPW, you guys are gonna bring down water barriers. You're gonna set that up tonight. We're gonna fix that problem. We met every single day. We opened it to the city of Tonawanda to come and talk. Nobody ever wants to cross the bridge and talk to us about the solutions that we made. This year we were told, oh, listen, you take some of the rides, you know, we'll book Canal Fest too. And we're taking the kiddie rides. Back to my story with the business owners, when Canal Fest was over, they came up to all of us and said, that was the best week we ever had for business. We had people waiting outside of our businesses all night to get food, to have drinks, and the way you guys handled it, the way you reorganized everything, made everything great. I worked for Twin City Ambulance for almost 20 years. I worked on the Canal Fest. Those shootings and the stabbings, you're talking about literally over a decade ago, okay? You're always gonna have riffraff come to an event. But Canal Fest is structuring it more to be more family friendly. Smaller rides started last year, right? Smaller games started last year. We had more families down there. You actually walk down there and try to look around to see what's going on. It was more of a family friendly event. And that's the goal of Canal Fest moving forward, going back to its original roots. So instead of being against it every year, maybe start being part of the solution of how can we revamp it, make it more personal, it's Tonawanda, more personal North Tonawanda, and more importantly, like siblings, we literally share this bridge and we share this event. It's a great event to do. It's amazing for our nonprofits. And like I said, you will lose fire halls, you will lose Lions clubs, you will lose Boy Scouts, organizations that are already hurt are going to be gone. My last question is, when those organizations go away, who's there to help our residents? What kind of money is going to come into our city to help people that these organizations help? I know for First City sponsors families at Christmas time. We give presents to kids that otherwise wouldn't have presents. We give full dinners to families that can't afford to eat. Those families wouldn't have that if this event didn't happen. That's all.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Levy. Any other comments on the floor? Or joining us virtually? Mr. Clerk, we have a comment on the floor.
Good evening, my name is Ron Walker, I live at 92 Phillip Lane in Tonawanda. I might be among the, I should say minority that doesn't go for the Canal Fest. In my opinion, it's too long. It's not the Erie County Fair. We're two small cities that come together to celebrate the canal area. And I remember when I was growing up that there used to be a carnival on Main Street in Tonawanda way back when, before urban renewal was, now I'm starting to show my age. Before urban renewal had basically closed down Main Street, and that had stopped. Canal Fest was arisen from the ashes, and 8 days was all fine and good, but now people are getting tired of 8 days. I'd be totally in favor of a 4-day, and I don't care what anybody says. I was involved in one of the, might just say, not-for-profit organizations that was down there every day for 8 days. And we totaled a profit of $2,000. $2,000 over an 8-day period is, why should we bother? And so our organization did pull out because it's not worth our effort to put in that amount of time, preparation prior to, cleanup, and everything after the event. $2,000 just made nothing to our coffers. And, we find other ways of making money for our organization with less people and less time. For instance, a meat raffle, 3 hours time, maybe 10 people. You're getting over $2,000 in one evening. So, kind of weigh it out. With the overtime that is going to be, that's going to cost the city and or North Tonawanda overtime, it's more than what the Canal Fest is giving to the city. Me also being on the fire police, I'm down there a whole lot. I volunteer my time. That's not overtime. I volunteer my time as a fire policeman to the city of Tonawanda to help protect and serve the city of Tonawanda. Hopefully, if this ever does come up again, that you will think hard before you grant an 8-day festival that really doesn't produce the money that it has. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Walker. Any other comments? Mr. Clerk, anyone wishing to address the council? Virtually?
At this time, no, Madam President.
Okay, Mr. Clerk, we do have a comment on the floor.
Takes me longer to get up here than most people. Ron and I have known each other since 7th grade. Neither here nor there. I just want to say thank you very much. And it really helps out our not-for-profits to help out the people within our communities. I want to thank all the Mitchell Lady, North Tonawanda for their support as well. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Starr. Any other comments? Mr. Sheasley?
Yeah, I just have I thank you for the Brotherhood in North Tonawanda to come. You know, you talked about earlier this year, you had meetings with the mayor and the council president. Well, I got the agreement. The only time I knew the agreement was March 8th, and we had a council meeting at 12. And the only time I knew that agreement was there on that floor. Call me. I'm not hard to get a hold of. You want to sit down and talk, maybe we can make things better. But when I get it in a 4-day notice, you know, I got problems.
Our meetings were held in January.
There's no public comment.
Yeah, just, you know.
Thank you, Mr. Sheasley. Mr. Fisher?
Unlike the previous governor, Kathy Hochul, being from Western New York, she knows Canal Fest exists. So she's from the Western New York area. So, you know, people spitball the name, but we do have a governor that knows that the city of Tonawanda is on the map. One of the businesses that reached out in favor and did file a letter that I forwarded to the clerk's office was Hello Sweets. They started on Main Street and they recently expanded to a larger location. Now, still on Main Street, but within the footprint of Canal Fest. And they're excited to showcase their new ice cream patio. As far as 8 days or 4 days, show us a plan. And that could be a discussion, whether it's 8 days or 4 days. It's just, you know, everyone keeps spitballing, you know, timeframes. Is it the Italian Fest versus Erie County Fair? You know, no one knows. But for this year, it's 8 days, and I'm excited to see it. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Fisher. Mr. Rautenstrau?
Thank you. I do want to say thank you to our Alderman from North Tonawanda for coming to speak to us. Not unlike Jim, I was unaware that there was meetings in January. And haven't been part of that meetings earlier in the year, over the years that I've been on the council. So I very much like to be involved with us. That's been a lot of compassion for me as well. In regards to the not-for-profits and the timeframe, you know, I just want to say, you talk about a 4-day event. There's often speculation that the reason it can't be 4 days is we might not have all the rides or carnies or the vendors that are in here. And to my point before, you know, it's real hard for our not-for-profits, for our local businesses, you know, to make some money if they're competing with vendors that are coming into our city, take that business away. There's no question as to what the not-for-profits do for our city. I know pretty much all of them, and I've worked with them in some capacity. I think you guys do a great job. We should do everything we can to support you so you can support our community. So that's never been a question. And what Chris said too about the governor realizing where we are, we're on the spot. He's absolutely correct. It was a very generous help that the governor put into place last year. The point of it was to help the Canal Fest committee reimagine, re-energize, and do something different. Those are the promises that were made, and I haven't seen much different about the Canal Fest committee. I think giving them that funding also empowered them to kind of push this down our throats again and kind of force us to do what they want to do. So I don't think that's fair to us as a community, it's us to a city. I just think a lot more work needs to be done. More people need to come to the table, and there needs to be more collaboration in this process. I hope it's a successful event. I hope it's a good time, but I continue to have my concerns. Thanks.
Thank you, Mr. Armstrong. Mr. Mylum.
I'm good, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Mylum. Mayor?
I just want to say that there was one meeting. The one meeting was in January. It was an informational meeting. It wasn't anything that was gonna be, we offered a suggestion for a 4-day event, 5-day event. And after that January meeting, we didn't have anything more. So it was, you didn't miss anything that we had, Mr. Bishop or Mr. Armstrong. So the event itself, I love it only because we have an opportunity to let 150,000 people visit our city and see what we have to offer. Nestled in here between 3 beautiful waterways. I love it. I wouldn't pass it up. As mayor, of course, it's something that I would entertain. But there is a liability, there is a concern of safety, and there's a concern of cost that comes with it. And that is something that I expressed to all the news stations in the last day and a half that we have to be concerned about. And that's something that I talked to Dave Mylum about, and we talked in depth about it with Chief. When it comes to the safety of our officers and the safety of our members of our community and the people coming in to visit. So I'm supportive of the event, but I always have concerns for safety and liability. So I think that, I believe that we'll be okay for this year. But again, I'd love to talk about, I've always been very open about, I'd love to see a shorter event. I just would. I think we can do it in a shorter 5-day period. 4-day period is something that we have to entertain and start from scratch early, right away, as soon as this one's done. As an informational, hey, let's throw some suggestions out there. Let's see what works, what doesn't work. We may be without rides, but why does it have to always be about rides? You know, why can't we reimagine our relationship with our beautiful canal and the history of the canal and the history of, I don't know, of our relationship with North Tonawanda? 200th year, or imagine the canal next year. So I don't know. It's something to think about, and maybe we need to think about how we're going to do it next year. So let's plan it early and move forward, but I love the event.
Thank you, Mayor. A couple things. First, I want to thank the representatives from the Volunteer Fire Company who met with the council and the caucus. We will have a resolution on April 16th relative to those resolutions that we've tabled. I'm also going to appoint council members to each of the 4 volunteer companies. Councilmember Sheasley will be appointed to Nationals. Councilmember Fisher will be appointed to Union. Councilman Rautenstrau will be appointed to Delaware, and Councilman Mylum will be appointed to Niagara. So I'll reach out to each respective president and inform them of that. To echo the sentiments of the mayor, there was one meeting, I actually believe it may have been in December, early January. I don't even know if you were sworn in yet, to be honest with you, but I'll double check the dates. Regardless, I spent more time talking to Council President DiBernardo about the Homeless Alliance than Canal Fest. The discussion was mostly surrounding on rides. And to that, the city has 2 members that go to the monthly meetings for Canal Fest, including the administrative assistant, who could report back on the Canal Fest meetings. Regardless, I do think we have to come to the table. I'll be reaching out to the council president after, you know, the Canal Fest wraps up and see what we can come up with, and whether we have a joint meeting or something involving Canal Fest representatives. Personally, on a personal note, I do think 8 days is too long, but there's a benefit to having Canal Fest in our community. And I appreciate Councilman Mylum for his due diligence with, as the police liaison, working with the chief. And I really appreciate the mayor in his efforts and working with the union as well to get their blessing, because their feedback was very important to me personally. With that said, I'd like to thank everybody for coming out tonight, and I'd like to make a motion to adjourn. Do I have a second? Second by Mr. Fisher. All those in favor? Have a great night, everybody.